Hey and welcome everyone to this episode of Legion in Short. This time we're going to talk about 6 different unit comps that don't involve any aura units and are either opening comps or just a general synergy those units have. Let's start with the first one. This is an opening comp and we're talking about the Fire Elemental opener. You open with a Fire Elemental and for wave 3 the best you can have is a Windhawk. You place the Windhawk with 2 squares in between, you can see it here in top. And why is this such a good comp? You do have the Fire Elemental, which is a nice damage deal in the early game, and with this positioning it can tank quite some units. Later on, the Windhawk is gonna give you some split damage on the position it's placed. And the second thing is, as soon as you upgrade it to a Violet, which is best for 5, you will have a nice unit that will cover your 5 and 6 and your 9. All waves that are weak against, where the Fire Elemental is weak against some sense. And you will have a very nice early game pressure build and comp. So try it out in your ranked games. The next comp is once again an opening comp. We do have the Berserker, a Sea Serpent, and any sort of tank. You're gonna start with the Berserker and place the Sea Serpent at the very top in the corner as shown here. Some people tend to play it on the other side, but since I explained the usual rules of splitting on the left side, we're gonna stay on the left side like this. Your Deep Coiler and Berserker have the following synergy. Berserker is a swift armored tank that is the best defense type in the early game waves. Plus, the Deep Coiler is one of the best DPS units out there. So they have a perfect synergy between a nice tank for the early game and some heavy DPS. On top of this, the Berserker is quite good in 5, where Deep Coiler is usually pretty bad, because with the ramp up damage its passive has, he will be able to kill the boss quite soon. So check out this comp. Usually you either go for the Deep Coiler upgrade and a small tank in a split, for example, for 5, or you will just leave the Sea Serpent and build some tanks like this, for example. Graal is not the best tank, a Mudman would be better, but around this. If you're new to the game, try to build a little bit more. If you're more experienced, try to get those workers. This comp is especially good if you played with the Greed, because you will be allowed 5 workers before wave 3 if you send, and 7 workers afterwards. It all depends on the game though. One comp that usually is an opening comp but generally has its usage is the Priestess or the Assyria together with Mask. Usually you will see something like this, and then you will have your masks here and to the wall and some in the split. But why is this comp so good? We do have Priestess and Mask, they both have the same range, which will allow you to have them both split tank. This is especially good in the early game because the Priestess doesn't have that much HP, and later if you upgrade it, it's still good because you always want to play with the HP bar of your Priestess or Assyria, because the healing you get from the spell is actually the strength of it. So try to have it split tank some units but not die and get as many heals out as possible, and the Mask will help you for 2 reasons. First, you can make them split tank, especially good in the early game, and second, Masks are a perfect pierce damage dealer, which is one of the most problematic things and one of the most needed things if you have a Priestess role. You need some good pierce damage, and here comes Mask into the play. So try out this comp and let me know how you do with it. Once more, an opening comp. We do have the Green Devil Consort build. Usually we'll start with the Green Devil. Depending if you get a send or not, you have to add for wave 2. Or obviously if you want to take a risk. But afterwards you can, for example, place a Consort like this. You will be able to place a Green Devil here once again, or a Consort here as well. There's a lot of variety. Maybe you want to try out what fits best for you, and obviously it always depends what sense you get, but just try it out yourself. I want to show you the comp. Why is this comp so strong? You have the Green Devil, which is an arcane tank, great already. It's great for the first 3 waves of the game. So you will have some cover there. Consort in the early game is quite strong because it's dealing fairly good DPS, plus the passive almost one-shots every creep in the first rounds, like especially in the first in the first 4 rounds. Afterwards, it usually does a lot of damage on units, and maybe you will get some snipes with the passive as well. And you do basically have cover for almost all waves until 9. 6 is obviously a little bit tricky, but consorts aren't as bad on 6 as you might think if the cents aren't all in cents. So this is a nice comp for the early game. Those are only 2 units, and then you can just develop into your mid game build. So try to check out this opener. It's quite nice. You can push a little bit with it. And yeah, tell me your experiences. The next comp is not an early game comp at all. It's actually a late game comp, and actually as much late game as you can go. It is a comp, either Green Devil or your Sora or Arctire, together with Lost Chieftains, which is the upgrade of the Desert Pilgrim. Lost Chieftain has the ability that it gives extra HP to 1 unit once. You will see it with the green shining, which unit will get this extra HP. Those 2 units are especially strong since they have a sort of reduction. We do have 25% dodge range or dodge chance on the Sora and Arctire, and we have 35 plus 1 flat damage reduction, like 35% plus 1 flat damage reduction on the Gargoyle. Obviously, anything like an Antler or White Mane buff, Hero will help to improve this damage reduction even further. But those units have the most effectiveness together with a Lost Chieftain. An Antler getting buffed by White Mane is also possible, but those 2 are clearly the favorites. Especially on waves like 20, 21 or even 18, it can be a solid comp and help you out and either delay the longest and win you the game this way, or you might even hold. So try it out. Just keep in mind, 1 Desert Pilgrim is not enough. If you commit to a comp like this, you should get those Desert Pilgrims down. The best is if you have some pierce damage to it or some pierce range damage even. It's a nice comp, or it's actually 2 nice comps. And yeah, a lot of fun for those who like to play it. We already just had the Pilgrim. But this time we're not using the upgrade, the Lost Chieftain, but we're using the Pilgrim itself. And not the last, but the next comp is Desert Pilgrim with Wild Shrooms, or obviously Canopies. Why is this such a strong comp? The Desert Pilgrim is starting with full mana. So it's gonna heal the first time it does its first attack, which is at the start of the wave. And on this stage, Wild Shrooms or Canopies are the only units that will get the full healing and will therefore benefit from it because you can use the full HP. This way, it's especially a good early game comp. I'm personally no fan of this comp, but the community liked it and proposed the comp for this video. I think it can be quite good, but you have to keep in mind that Canopies and Wild Shrooms are, at least attack and defense wise, one of the worst units possible, because Arcane is the weakest defense type and impact damage is the weakest offense type. So it isn't the best unit, but at least the comp is quite nice and has a lot of potential. Last but not least, again, no early game comp, no opening, but more or less a full game comp is Daphne and Zeus. We all know that Daphne does a stack on a target or on its target up to 10 stacks that will give bonus damage for everything attacking this exact same target. Let's say 3 Daphnes, which will be able to get the maximum of 3 stacks on one target, will just have this mark on the target. And then anything attacking this target will give additional bonus damage, which is 10 stacks, 10 bonus damage. And since Zeus is attacking super fast, Zeus and Daphne are a perfect comp for each other, because a Zeus attacking this target with bonus damage is just shredding it down together with the Daphnes. It's a nice comp. You will lag on spam waves like 16, you can have those problems, but especially in the late game where there's a lot of units that have a big HP pool, it's quite nice to shut them down, to burn them down actually, And yeah, you have a very nice comp. Try it out and let me know anything about your opinions about those comps I showed. How do you perform with them? Do you think there are other comps? If so, mention them in the comments. Maybe I'm gonna do a second part of it. I hope you enjoyed it, learned some new comps, want to try out some of them. And yeah, good luck in your games.